Some stories don't start with success. They begin in a prison cell. Daryl McGraw spent nearly a decade behind bars. But behind those walls, he found something else: vision, purpose, and a plan for transformation.
Today I stand here proudly before you, a college graduate, a homeowner, a father, a foster parent, and one of my most recent proudest accomplishments, the owner and operator of Formerly Inc.
Today, he sits at the table shaping justice reform. He's a national speaker, recovery leader, and policy consultant, living proof that your past doesn't define your future.
In the loss of freedom, you can't really understand that. You can't really fathom it unless it's happened to you.
Absolutely.
People left you while you're inside. You know, they came and they went, and they came and they went, and never really talked to you about that, right? Brothers, and this brother as well will call me and say, I'm just overwhelmed, and literally brothers cry on the phone.
Right.
And it's okay to cry. I cry.
Absolutely.
I cry because sometimes it's a lot. To go back inside and share with brothers like, yo, you can be a homeowner. Oh man, you can go home and be a dad. Oh, you can go home and do these things, right? All these things that we laid in bunks and thought about. My title is the work of helping individuals reacclimate themselves back into our communities, right? Whatever that looks like, right? I can only be who I am today. I can't fix any of those things that I've done in the past, nor do I try to.
Right.
And that's a space that we really have to work on, trying to get people to understand. The past is the past and you can't fix it.
Right.
You know, I'm not going back, you know, as a person that was in active addiction, I'm not going back to anybody that I owe $10 to.
Right.
I owe you $10.
You got it.
You know how you fix that? You know how you fix that gap? Creating your own bridge. And that's what Formerly Inc. is about. That's about creating your own business. It's creating your own bridge to whatever life that you want. And then I'm not saying that that's easy, but that should be the mission.
Right. This is Locked Up and Locked Out. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. My guest is Mr. Daryl McGraw. Man, thank you for blessing me with your presence, man.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me. Oh, man.
Yes.
How's it going?
Man, I'm blessed, man. I couldn't,
We here.
Yeah.
We here. Let's go.
It's amazing, man.
You know?
So, jump right in.
We're getting professional. Okay, I'm ready.
To jump into this, let's talk about a serious topic, freedom.
Oh, you're going to start heavy? You like that right off the top?
I got to, man.
All right. So
what
freedom.
does that mean in a nutshell to you?
Oh, man. Well, you know, being that we both came from the trenches, right? We both
yes.
were in a space that where freedom was, you know, freedom is expensive and freedom is not free, right? A lot of times people like to say freedom is free, but for me, freedom is choice, right? Getting those choices back, right? Giving those choices back. A lot of times we didn't have that. The lack of choice, right? So having that choice back, having the opportunity to make different choices, and every day I'm making a different choice. So man, so I appreciate the question, but I mean, like it's so many things, but I think what's important is to understand for your listeners to understand that it's, you know, freedom is the freedom of choice, making better decisions, making choices that understanding now that the choices that I make not only affect me, but affect other people as well. Right.
So let me pause you right there. Because we know each other
100%.
very personally. You know what I mean? Like we was locked up
100%,
for a time, and we played chess together. You know, and
we're not going to talk about the outcomes, right?
Because you know how that went. But you know,
no one needs to know.
Yes.
Right.
But you know, how does it feel to be in your space, doing the things, the magnificent things that you're doing, and then how impactful you've been, because you're somebody I looked up to. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, you was the first brother, you know what I'm saying,
I appreciate
that got out, you know what I'm saying, and got to it, you know what I'm saying? And I don't mean to no drugs or, you know what I'm saying, anything negative.
No,
you got
absolutely.
to, you know what I'm saying, the positive side of humanity, that oftentimes people say, oh, they'll be right back. Don't keep his bed warm.
Yeah.
Things, you know what I'm saying, of that, you know what I'm saying, level. Like,
no, I really appreciate that. And I think that, you and I, we talk all the time. So it's like, I believe that we are today a modern day Underground Railroad, right?
yes.
So there's, darkness and slavery, however you want to frame it, right? It's our duty, once we have found freedom, that freedom that you just asked about, it is our duty to go back and get others, right?
Absolutely.
So I could easily went and got out and went about my business, but my business was going back and creating a space, right? So those of us that are formerly incarcerated, we hold the door open for others to walk through, right? That's our job. That's the mission, right? Our titles, man, I've had numerous titles, but my title is the work of helping individuals reacclimate themselves back into our communities, right? Whatever that looks like, right? Many people walk through many doors and many pathways, and my job, your job, and those of us that have come before them is to support those individuals on this journey.
Right.
And it's not an easy one. Like we talk about the loss of freedom, right? And the loss of freedom, you can't really understand that. You can't really fathom it unless it's happened to you.
Absolutely.
Right? Unless it's happened to you. Once you've lost your freedom, and you understand it. And you and I we came through these doors differently, right? I actually committed some crimes that,
right.
I did it, right? Whereas you and many others like you were charged with things that you did not do. And I can't even fathom that. I know the loss of freedom, of losing my freedom, and for things that I did.
Right.
Some, not all, but most of the stuff, due to my active addiction, I found myself in situations of incarceration, right? Whereas meeting people like you and many others, right, who have come through these same doors, sat in those same cells, innocent. I can't fathom that. The pain in the journey is still the same, though. The loss of freedom, that's the same, right? The things that we have to go through or try to get back or try to mend and try to heal are similar and same, right? But to sit there and I know your story and I know your journey, where many people were like, when you said to me, yo, I'll see you on the street. Right. They was like, that dude's crazy. That dude's crazy. Like, I'll see you out there. Yeah. The last thing, remember, I don't know if you remember the last thing that day I was leaving, I was getting transferred. And because see, this was a pivotal moment in my life and changed my life. Wow. Was I was leaving. I think we were in H pod or something like that. Right. And I had my stuff and I was transferring to another jail. And you said, you stopped and you hugged me and you said, you gave me a hug and you looked up and somebody was going to the shower or something. And you said, yo, Chip is going home. Yeah. And that brother with the coldest look looked at both of us and said, going home? Nobody goes home. And that really scared me. Yeah, that scared me. I was like, wow. And you were like, man, forget that dude. Right. And we went about your way. Before I left, though, you said, I'll see you out there. You said, I'll see you out there. Right. And I said, all right. And people thought you were crazy. And then, the rest. I came back in many times and saw you. And you were always the last person in line that, when I would come in to speak, whether it was Black History Month or what have you.
What was like moving for me, and I never seen it before. Not only being innocent and going through what I was going through, but seeing somebody that was just here, toe to toe with me, not as an officer, but as an inmate, a prisoner, a convict, whatever title people want to know what I'm saying, put on it, which is ugly.
Right.
Held against my will, and you hurled into a system for your crimes or what have you, but come back and redeem yourself, saying, you know what, I got a lot to give, and I'm willing to do it. Like, that's a hard thing to walk back in that prison setting, knowing that there's so many people hurting, and see these faces come up to you through Black history. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I remember the first time he was like, "Yo, brother Chip coming back. He gonna be talking on that Black history." I said, "Yo, I'm gonna be there." You know what I mean? I gotta support the brother. So when I walked in there and we, you know, met eyes, and you get a head nod, you know, of professionalism, you know. So I'm like, "Yo, nah," you know what I mean? And it was honorable, you know what I'm saying, to say, "Yo, I know that, but that's my brother, man." You know what I mean? Good guy, man.
Right.
And the system abroad didn't want to see you win. They didn't want to see you change lives.
Right.
Like, why wouldn't you want to see somebody's life impacted for the
Right.
better?
Right.
You know, if we, you know, stabbing each other and they boozing or doing whatever they doing, it's all right. But time you start changing the narrative of what the story's supposed to be to what it should be, it's a problem. And I said, this is so powerful. This man is giving these gems and giving hope to brothers who may have lost hope. That, yo, listen, man, get out here, man. This right here ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? Yo, man, I'm on my first home, and I'm you know, and it's hard work, but it can be done.
Absolutely, 100%.
Just one plant, one seed being planted is a chance for the tree to blossom
100%.
into, you know what I'm saying, many other sprouts and things. And I believe with you, Brother Scott, and a few other brothers that I seen go home, it was uplifting. Like, yo, listen, man, I got to stay on my job because I'm not happy here. I'm not happy with the status quo or whatever restraints that they place on me. I got to fight. So now that I'm here, to have this outlet, you know what I'm saying, talking, being across the table, you know what I'm saying, from brothers like you and Scott and other brothers to come is humbling. Because not only are we here, but you brothers are doing tremendous things, man. Director, and then, you know what I'm saying, of this, and you know what I'm saying, vice president, president of this, you know what I'm saying, like, yo, you're a man of many hats, man. How do it feel when you get the letters or come across somebody in the grocery store that you've seen or dealt with through your interventions and going back into the prisons?
Oh, wow. That's a lot. So, number one, I mean, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for, like you mentioned, the brother Scott. You mentioned, so I'd be remiss to not say, like, Daeed and Fred X and Kenny Jackson and many more who came before us, who not only came, but came back or showed us that this was possible. Yeah. So we have to acknowledge those that came before us, because I want people to be like, I wouldn't know that you could go back into the prison if it wasn't for brothers like that. Right. I wouldn't know that you could be a business owner if it wasn't for brothers like that. Right. So I saw that and just, put my own spin on it, right? But the work, it is an inside job, right? Yeah. It's an inside job. It's important for us to go back and be able to, for me, it was more important for me to go back inside and share with brothers like, yo, you can be a homeowner. Oh man, you can go home and be a dad. Oh, you can go home and do these things, right? All these things that we laid in bunks and thought about. Right. I many times, I thought about what life would be like. And, it was about giving myself a chance, right? It was about seriously, in the world of that other life that we lived, I would put a plan together and it would happen, even though it was negative or it wasn't, my best thinking, right? So today I put plans together and they actually happen, right? So how do we encourage other brothers to say, you know what, I've come in contact with some of the most brilliant minds when I was incarcerated. And I said, let's put that plan together. What is it that you want to do? You want to open a auto body shop? You want to be a detailer? You want to be a rapper? Whatever it is you so choose, you have to put into that. You have to pour into that and believe that. I wanted to be a drug counselor, right? Because substances was part of my story, right? I wouldn't even have been incarcerated if it wasn't for substances, right? And my substance use and abuse, right? So I wanted to do that, but God had a different plan, right? They always say, you want to make God laugh, tell him your plan. So I had this plan of being this addictions counselor, but I ended up, like you said, being a director and working in many different roles where I found, my lived experience and my knowledge and expertise important. But I will say that I think no matter what titles or letters that I've acquired, the most impactful or the best times I've ever had on this journey was going back inside and seeing you and seeing other brothers, the brothers I played chess with, right? And the looks on their face when they smile and they see you and sometimes we only got back every year.
Right.
So it'd be 365 days when we come back and then brothers would act like they just saw us yesterday.
It hits different.
Right? It's so I mean, there's no money, there's no monetary value you could put on that. Right. And people were excited to see us. COVID killed that because COVID prevented us from going in and giving that gift every year and sometimes twice a year. But the other thing is when I see brothers like you, right? You and I bumped into each other in the world, right? And here. But to see brothers who have said, I took that 5-year plan that you talked about. And now I got a trucking business. I took that 5-year plan. I see brothers all over the state. I mean, it's giving me chills just thinking about it. When someone said something that you said has impacted me. I was about a month ago. I was walking into CVS and I seen this brother. He didn't seem familiar to me, so I gave the traditional head nod or whatever. And he said, "Mr. McGraw," and I was like, and he says, "I saw you speak 3 years ago. I'm a chef at this place, and you know what? I tell brothers about you all the time. What you said changed my life." And so I'm always humbled by that. I'm humbled by that. It was something that I said that made this brother not go back to prison. Right. Because that's the work. That's the work. My job is to help people get out and stay out. I don't care what you do. Just don't go back. Right.
So my thing is like, you are what you eat. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
don't say that because I eat a lot of stuff.
Like, when you be around bull crap, you become bull crap. Mm-hmm. If you're around productive, solid people that's doing and moving in the mirror and in certain rooms, then you become a product of that. Mm-hmm. Like coming home, I've been involved with helping bills be passed. Yeah. That's going to ever be impactful in brothers that's been wrongly convicted. And man, today that's one of my most prized honors, just to be a part of that. And then you being in the headspace that you're in, where you're seeing policies being formed and shaped, right? That's always going to be, the catalyst for others that's incarcerated and moving forward. Like, how does that feel like?
I think that as you know, and you'll see as you continue to do this work, because we have so much work and we're not done, right? That the feeling is like we got more work to do, right? So there's always that. This is dope, but we're not done yet.
It's a moment,
right? And we say a moment in the movement, right? So we're always constantly looking for the next thing until we see, and I always have this saying, and I've heard it from someone else, until everyone's free, we're not free.
Has that moment shifted in the sense of the urgency? Is a 3-alarm fire? Are we doing enough? Do we have enough people being involved with the bill aspect, policies being hurled in the Capitol when it comes to formerly incarcerated or incarcerated people that's trying to come out. Like, what's going on there?
Right. Well, I think that our resources are limited, right? So we need to start pooling our resources so we can give brothers and sisters stipends, so they can take the time off to go and advocate, right?
So what is a stipend?
So a stipend meaning whether it be gas money or whatever it is, pay people for their time, right? So we don't believe in, our movement and what we've seen in the past is that a lot of organizations like to call us over and tell our worst part of our story for a slice of pizza or for dinner or for something, right? They want you to come and be like, hey, can you share your story? And then they want to feed you and then send you on your way. Well, that pizza doesn't pay my rent or my mortgage or what have you. And it's almost insulting for you to want me to relive the worst part of my life for nothing. Right? So we need to start taking hold of our stories, owning them ourselves, doing what you're doing, but building platforms that benefit us, benefit our people, right? Like instead of going to these places where people take like somebody will film this in a different space and then they'll put it on their reel and then they'll do fundraisers and they'll say, well, we're here helping, the less fortunate. Well, we can no longer survive and do that. And I think it's time for us to really recognize our power and our worth, right? And really start to utilize that to benefit those that are still inside, because, we represent those, not just us, but those that are still inside waiting to come home. They're in cells right now as we speak, praying that we're going to be doing something to change laws, to change things that make people, that provide ways for them to get out.
I find it so difficult when I think it's daunting, because I once was that person behind the wall. You know what I'm saying? To know that there's other people behind that wall fighting and clawing for somebody to just say, yo, I see you, I acknowledge you.
Somebody had that gross cheeseburger today.
You ain't right, you know what I'm saying? I'm fighting for you know what I'm saying, not to have that, you know what I'm saying? Just to be a controller of your destiny.
Absolutely.
It's something not to just be painful by, but the through, you know what I'm saying, action. Into action. You know
100%.
So what things are you're doing moving forward now?
Well, we're formerly Inc., right? So we do mentoring. One of the things that I'm most prideful about is mentoring, and I've talked to you about that, and really building out our mentoring base. And not mentoring is just really being a support system for those that are coming home, right? In any space that we support. If it's just me, some people call me, like brother called me yesterday. Just for an example, brother called me yesterday. His parole officer or whoever did not like the housing situation, so they put him in a halfway house. Well, when you go to the halfway house, you are subjected to the halfway house rules. So now he has to give his check to the halfway house, all these things. So his life just changed in a matter of a blink of an eye. So, number one, supporting him in that space. Okay, this is happening, but let's work through that. Let's walk through that. So by him being able to call me every day, right, or being able to call a different person, but it was me that he was calling at the time, we were able to say, okay, so each day we worked towards finding some secure housing, found a better housing situation. It was approved, and he needed a couple of dollars too. So whatever we have to do to facilitate that, but sometimes it's just conversation. But it is, we're the person that you can call, or we're the people that you can call and say, look, I've been through that. It is horrible, but it's not that bad. And at the end of the day, it's better than jail, right? We've had other people like, brothers and sisters, that are just need to talk. We had a brother call at 11 o'clock. It was almost midnight. And he called and he said, I dropped my wallet at the gas station. I went back. The guy showed me the video of the guy who picked my wallet up. I'm out here now looking for him. Why? Let's talk about that. You can replace all that stuff tomorrow. You can, let's walk that through. And he thought about it, and he had an opportunity. But what if he didn't? What if I didn't answer? What if we didn't answer the call? What if we weren't there? right? He could be, next day you read about him in the paper and you're like, oh man, so-and-so is going back.
Right.
But we know as a community, because this is who we are,
Right.
we know as a community, you don't have to go back.
Right.
You don't have to go back. And I don't want to see, I think it pains me the most is to see people go back. When I walk into a prison and they say, oh, brother, man, I meant to call you, but guess what happened? I said, I know what happened. You got locked back up.
Yeah.
I understand that. So let's work with brothers and sisters to try to provide every means possible to prevent them from going back.
So to your point, what I'm hearing is mental health.
Oh, okay. Let's go
You know
there.
what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
it's a
Let's
big
unpack
thing.
that 100%.
You know what I'm saying? Because a brother that was near and dear to me ended up taking his life.
Right.
And this brother, man, is a solid brother, man. And I'm thinking he got it together,
Right.
and he may have had it together. But that one moment where, you know what I'm saying, like he thought he had no other, you know what I'm saying, remedies.
Right.
No other person
Right.
that understand his pain.
Right.
That's a hurtful thing, and I don't never want to see anybody back against the wall to that magnitude. You know what I'm saying? Whereas they're feeling hopeless.
Right. I think that the system, and we'll just say the system, it fails to really identify and address trauma issues, right?
Right.
So we can always get a deck of cards, we can always get this, but what we really need is to start addressing trauma.
Absolutely.
Right. And I mean, trauma, I was traumatized before I came in. I witnessed violence and became a perpetrator of violence when I was out in the street.
Right.
Then I come in and I witness violence and see things happening on the inside, but we never address these issues of trauma, right? So then what happens is people do decades with unaddressed trauma, unaddressed issues, unaddressed things that they haven't dealt with, right? And one of the other things is where we fail is, there's all these programs, people get excited to say, oh, we're going to get Adam out. Adam is getting out. But nobody did the work to prepare Adam to get out. And that's one of the things that I really talk about when I go inside. If they let you go today, would you be prepared?
Right.
And no hands go up.
Right.
No hands go up. And there's this thing where, people always ask me, well, what made you successful? And I have to say I did the work. I did the work. I never, I came out, I played chess with you, I kept my circle really small, but the whole time I was in my cell, I didn't go to the gym, I wasn't working out, I was really working out on my mental. I really was working out on my brain. I knew that I could go to the gym when I get out. But my mental, my brain, I knew that this world moves so fast, and with technology and everything happening in a blink of an eye, I really need to work on my inside. I needed to work on my brain. And I think that's where we lack. There are brothers and sisters that are inside that have a ton of unaddressed trauma that we need to start working on. And, I think that many of us, anybody impacted by the criminal justice system, could benefit from the use of a therapist or meeting with a therapist. And that's something that we don't talk about in our community, in Black and brown communities. We don't talk about therapy. We don't talk about that. And that's where mentoring comes in too. Like, you need somebody to bounce stuff off of, right? Especially when you're talking, when you're thinking about the wildest things, like, because mom can't help you, your girlfriend, wife, whoever, your partner, they may not understand where you're at, and we do. You and I have real conversations, like, okay, and I talk about, relationships. One of the things that we don't talk enough about inside is relationships. Right, and that relationships, whether it be with a partner or relationship with family members, how do you deal with that? And I think that the brother because I know that brother as well, I think that there was a lot of, him and I talked a lot, there were a lot of issues that he never had an opportunity to really work through. And what I see the most, and this is in the work and the time I've been home, is that a lot of brothers come home with the burden of trying to fix everything in like a year, right? They did 20 years, whatever many times they've done, and all of a sudden they want to buy all the birthday presents again. They want to buy the cars. They want to try to, and then the family, because they're so excited to have you home, everybody's coming to you. everybody, because you're a rock, you are who you are, and prison has made you even more of a solid person. So everybody comes to you, and where do you unload that?
Right.
Where do you share that? Like, hey, like some brothers and this brother as well will call me and say, I'm just overwhelmed, and literally brothers cry on the phone.
Right.
And it's okay to cry. I cry.
Absolutely.
I cry because sometimes it's a lot. And let's go. No. Because you got me started now. You got me started now. You got me in my bag.
It's so serious. Like,
100%.
People just don't get it. Like, okay, you did 30 years, 12 years, 15, 25.
I need some more. Keep going.
Yeah. And you have no outlet to release what you done experienced. Like, pressure bust pipes in many different forms. You know what I'm saying? We're not talking about I'm angry, I want to hurt, the world. Like, I don't know where to go because I don't know how to pay my bills or the computers ain't working for me. I don't know nothing about a computer because when I was home, it was a floppy disk. You know what I'm saying? With a hard drive.
Now you can talk to your remote controller and tell it to turn the TV.
What you want to watch.
100%, yeah.
So not only is the world different, what you left it, but everybody that was once in your life, family members, are coming back around as if you never left, and things you're still that little young boy that went in.
Right.
And sometimes mentally we're locked at the age that we came in, unless you did the work to understand I'm no longer that child.
Right.
I'm a full-fledged adult
That's
with
been
adult
through
issues that been through a lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying? I got a lot of baggage.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? How do I unload that baggage and be a productive part of society, a productive figure of society that's moving along and could care less if you swim or drown?
Right. And I think that, you said so many different things that one thing that comes to mind, more of us that are formerly incarcerated need to take the path of becoming therapists.
Yeah.
Because that's an untapped need. The other thing is really understanding there's a whole different dynamic when you start to talk about technology and educating people with technology. We are. I mean, every day it's changing. So much stuff is changing, and it's hard for someone, and I'm thinking about a brother in particular, who comes home and he can't work the iPad, but his 4-year-old can zip through the iPad and pick it up and do everything that he can't. So that's challenging, but making it okay. Right, saying it's okay that you don't know how to do that,
Right.
or maybe we're having tech classes. This is an iPad,
Right.
this is an iPhone. We have to tell some brothers stay off of social media because they don't really know
How
social
dangerous it
media.
is. Right.
Social media it's crazy, and you think that family members are coming around. Get on social media, put your picture on social media. You'll have your second grade girlfriend coming to you and saying, "Hey, remember me?" Right. So how do you handle that? There's a lot, and that. All of this should be addressed because if we're really having a conversation.
Right.
Reentry begins at the beginning of the sentence and not the end. Right? So we should be addressing these issues while people are incarcerated before they come home. If they fall through the cracks for whatever reason, then that's where we step in and start to walk them through that thing. It's a journey. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. I'm a person in recovery. I believe we're all in recovery from something
Every day.
right? So what does that mean? That means that it's going to take time. I think about this one brother in particular who I know did a lot of time, and I saw him, and he looked so like he was home, but he looked so sad. And I said, "What's going on?" He said, "Oh man, I just had to buy 3 cars for my kids, and I had to." And I was like, "No, you didn't.
Right.
You didn't have to do that. You didn't buy the cars 20 years ago."
Right.
But he felt the need, and that's the hardest part, to try to convince somebody who's been gone for a long time that you cannot catch up with that time. You can only be who you are today.
Right.
And I think that I spent 10 years of my life cycling in and out of the system. And I can only be who I am today. I can't fix any of those things that I've done in the past, nor do I try to.
Right.
And that's a space that we really have to work on, trying to get people to understand. The past is the past, and you can't fix it. I'm not going back, as a person that was in active addiction, I'm not going back to anybody that I owe $10 to.
Right.
I owe you $10.
You got.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But because that would be impossible to try to fix all that.
Right.
I'm not, and nor do I choose to.
Right.
They'll charge it. We say charge it to the game.
Right.
So we have to teach people how to charge things to the game, like meaning a lot of things. Because, and there's something that you pointed out that was truly interesting too. A lot of times, there's some stuff, even in my own personal life, people left you while you're inside. They came and they went, and they came and they went, and never really talked to you about that, right? I have like 4 journals at home, and one in particular person, whenever they would come and go, I would make little notes like date 9/7/8 2018 was not here, did no visit or no this or that.
Right.
And then I see who this person is today, and I say, yeah, I remember in 2018 you were no show or you were this. And I'm not saying that we keep score, but understanding that, there's this thing that we try to tell people: when they show you who they are, believe them.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Like, you must. It's shocking, to say the least, that in 2025 we're still spinning our wheels, sort of, in a sense of having people understand, like, this system is geared on keeping you tied and to believing that you can't change.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you buy into that, you're gonna fail.
Mm-hmm.
But we're living testimony. We're living proof that success is right around the corner.
Change is possible, 100%. We believe that if that's the whole part of us showing up.
Yes.
Right? That's why we show up. That's why I go to the office. That's why you show up in spaces. If we don't continue to show up, then nobody believes that. Like, why would you do it?
Right.
Why would you do it? And especially for young people, right? Especially for young people, we want them to say, well, don't do this. Don't live in the street. Don't do that. Like, sometimes you do got to rock a little jewelry. You got to show them the cars. You got to show them they like the shiny things.
Right.
But the understanding that I don't have to sell drugs to get this.
Right.
I don't have to risk my life to get these things. Nor do you. You don't have to risk your life to get these things. And now times have changed significantly from when we were growing up. Like, the drug dealers had the girls and the thing. Who's successful today is the working class.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
The working class, right?
Yes.
And it took us a long time to understand that.
Absolutely.
But understanding that, not only could you have things, but you could have these things, that are, you can be successful.
Right.
Without breaking the law.
Right.
You can carve your own path, and you can own your own business, because as a formerly incarcerated person, as a person with a record, as a person with whether you are a person that was convicted of a crime or a person that was exonerated, you have a gap.
Right.
There's a gap within time, and you have to explain that, right?
Absolutely.
And there's times that sometimes you don't feel like explaining that. And you know how you fix that? You know how you fix that gap? Creating your own bridge. And that's what Formula Inc. is about. That's about creating your own business. It's creating your own bridge to whatever life that you want. And then I'm not saying that that's easy, but that should be the mission.
Right. Man, I can sit here and we can.
I know.
Man, listen, man, this got to be like a two.
This is a two-parter.
Yeah.
But you know what? You got to bring me some food the next time, because I'm always.
I'm definitely going to do that.
I'm always hungry.
These are the topics that need to be had, man. And I'm so grateful. You know what I'm saying? Just to be able to sit across from a like-minded person that's passionate and that shows up, you know what I mean? Because, listen, it takes a lot, man. You know what I mean?
It's a heavy lift, and you know, the honor and the privilege is mine. Because you told me, as I told you, you know, you told me the last time I saw you inside, you're like, I'll see you out there. Yeah. And to be sitting at the table with you now, it's just like mind blowing. Every time I see you, I'm like, oh man, you know, God is amazing. And, you know, to give us space and to be where we are, you know, and acknowledging that every time I'm around brothers like you, Brother Scott, and all these other brothers who have inspired and paved the way, that we have so much more to live for, because there's so many more. You know, I was actually talking to a brother's wife recently who's still inside. And I said, man, you know, that was one of the brothers that I had on my list that I want to bring home. And she's like, well, let's bring him home. Yeah. We're going to figure it out.
That's what's up, man. Good. So, listen, man, thanks again, man. Yeah. And I'm following you, man. I'm going to definitely reach out for part 2.
Yes.
And thank y'all all for tuning in to Locked Up and Locked Out podcast. May y'all tune in to the next episode. Thank you.
Nice.